I'm Brenna Ramirez, wide receiver, DB, and safety for Lady Ghost, Centinelas, Valley Fever, and 17U USA Girls National Team. I'm in class of 2022, Kaiser commit, and you're listening to Playmakers Corner.
You're dang right. Woo! Howdy, y'all, and welcome to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I am one of your hosts, or the host for this episode, I should say, Kodey Stoffer, and I am joined here by a very special guest and a very elite talent. If you'd like to introduce yourself, where you're from, some of the teams that you play for, the positions that you play, go ahead and jump right into it here.
All right. I'm 17 years old. I'm living and from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm playing mainly wide receiver, but a little bit of cornerback and safety as well. I've been playing for about 11 or so years, and the teams I've played with and play with now, I played with Lady Ghost, Valley Fever, Centinelas. I played with Texas Fury before, and I'm currently a member of the 17U USA Girls National Team as well.
Yeah, enough to stay busy and keep your calendar full, that's for sure. And
that's right.
You know, amongst all of those teams and all of your experiences, I know that it's probably a pretty tough competition here, but, you know, something that we ask all of our athletes here is, what is your favorite sports experience or memory while playing?
My favorite experience? I'd have to say one of the most memorable just recently happened in February, late February. I played with the Centinelas team in Hermosillo, Mexico. And we were playing the championship. All the games prior to that, we went undefeated. The games weren't so hard, but, I was still getting ready for the championship, knew not to take it easy, whatnot. Well, all of a sudden, it seemed like there were some cheap calls thrown and whatnot. But at halftime, we were down 26-8. And we're all pretty stunned by what happened. But slowly through that second half, we just we're able to turn it around, get stops on defense, slowly inch our way to the goal line and score 3 times. We ended up going into overtime with 26-26 all. And in that first play, Leah Paulette threw a game-winning pass to Sarah Villarreal. And sure enough, that was game, and we'd won that championship. So I'd have to say that was one of the most hard-won games I'd ever played, and by far one of the most memorable.
I mean, that sounds like an instant classic. It has everything that you want, you know, a comeback and overtime. And, you know, it's great to hear, you know, that obviously you enjoy making plays too, but just also you're a great teammate and you care about winning and you don't care how it's served up. But, you know, as long as you guys take home the gold at the end of the day and you left it all on the field, that's what matters. And hearing those priorities is always really encouraging, you know, to coaches and scouts and stuff like that. And, you know, here at the podcast, we love to hear the stand-up and the excitement as well. You know, as you're telling it, I'm trying to put myself in that state of mind as like a spectator and as a player, and there's just nothing quite like it when you come back in a big game. So kudos for that.
Thank you.
And then maybe taking it down a notch, maybe not taking it down a notch. You know, we always ask all of our guests here, you know, assuming that they're sports fans here, and you and I, you know, had a little chat before the show, and you said, oh, yeah, definitely that you're a sports fan. What is your favorite sport viewing experience? This could be a game that you went and saw live. This could be, you know, a professional game. This could be, you know, collegiate, high school, whatever. Or, you know, it could be a game that you watch from home and you just remember, you know, that experience and everything like that. So what is your favorite sport viewing experience?
Man, I'd have to say one of the most memorable was definitely Super Bowl 49 when the Seahawks play the Patriots. I can't say I'm a big fan of those since I'm a diehard Cardinals fan, but at the 1-yard line, the Seahawks decided to throw that pass, and there comes Malcolm Butler right through the middle with the pick, and you see Tom Brady's reaction from the sideline, and just to close a game like that, looking like against you at the 1-yard line, and to make a stop like that, that is to remember for generations.
Yeah, that was a very exciting game, and my Bampa, which is, like a northeastern term for grandpa, he is a huge Patriots fan, and he was losing his mind. I thought he was going to have a heart attack because of how exciting that game was. And, Malcolm Butler's story is something to love as well. Literally, just working a regular job not even that long before making that play. And that's the magic of football, right? Anybody can make the play whenever. So
absolutely.
And, speaking of making plays and stuff, we kind of have added this question a little bit more recently in our interviews, and, just kind of wondering, our players and athletes' relationship with the game of football. Is there a specific point where you fell in love with football, or, you can pinpoint maybe a series of events that led to you really realizing this is it, this is what I'm going to pursue?
Mm-hmm. I'd have to say, it starts way back. I must have been, from the earliest I can remember, I was at least always doing something involving sports. Some sort of a ball in my hand, playing, doing whatever I could, playing wall ball with the kids. And I remember all the time in the backyard, I used to play catch with my dad, not with the softball, baseball, all the time, and I loved it. And so I started my first season when I was 6 years old in first grade. And from there, I must have played, I don't even know, must have been at least 15 seasons from then, including fall and spring. And I just remember there's just no other sport like it. I've played multiple other sports before. I played basketball, volleyball, soccer, and there's just nothing quite like football. And I remember a couple years ago, the main cutoff age for girls out of football was 14 years old. And they had just recently extended it to 15. So I was like, I'm going to jump on that right away when I can. But I could just go to college and be a typical student, but I was like, I still want to play sports. So I was just playing club softball for my freshman and sophomore year. And every time I was on that field, that shortstop, I was just running around in circles in the heat and thinking, man, imagine if this was football. And in May of 2020, when I heard that article come out saying the NAIA had added college football as a sport, I lost it. And I got 3 or 4 texts instantly from past coaches I'd had saying, Brenna, check this out. And so just to know that there's no other sport like football for me personally. And I knew it was what my passion was from the start. I'd always watched NFL games, all the Cardinals games, whenever I could on Sundays. And just going over all the different players and the different mind and skill sets they had, there was just nothing like it.
I'd have to agree, especially as someone who's, not playing the game anymore. I love to coach and stuff and obviously still watch, but it's just different. It's indescribable, right? Just that intensity that it has, and, just the variety of ways that you can make plays, and the interactions that you have are timeless for sure. So I get it. and it's even better kind of looking back on it and thinking, yeah, there's nothing quite like it. That's a great way to describe it. So, on episode, I believe 155 is where I did your breakdown, obviously. And it was mainly of your offensive film, but I just want to say thank you for putting together your defensive film. And I just took some notes. You mainly played safety in the film, but also, like you said, dabble in cornerback a little bit too. And I think I saw you in the box once or twice from the safety position, playing that middle of the field. So, yeah. She's got range, listeners, on the defensive side of the ball. And so I just wanted to hammer off some of these quick notes here and kind of get, this is our first raw reaction to a film assessment, basically. So, strengths, it's very obvious that you're a receiver and that, your ball instincts and ball skills carry over to the defensive side of the ball. You play the ball better than the other team's receivers, which is just insane. Because, we know that you're a dog on the offensive end of the ball, but they're supposed to be a dog too, and you just outmuscle them for the ball or just locate it a lot better. So, the ball skills that you have on offense carry over to defense very well. You adjust to the ball really well in air, whether you're playing man or zone. And that's something that we kind of always look at for cornerbacks and safeties is what is your range, what is your versatility playing the defensive side of the ball. And so to see you come up and play in the middle of the field for the run game and go against, what would traditionally be like a tight end or whatever, then play on the outside against outside receivers, and then play, a cover 2 zone, a cover 1 zone, a cover 3, you could see all of that in the short amount of time that the film is, which, with being able to see that in just that short kind of dose on the highlight level makes me understand, like, yeah, she can get it and play every single position and kind of just do whatever you ask from a coach's standpoint, which, I mean, keeps you on the field and, our team making plays, right? I also said that you undercut routes very well. There are a couple instances of that, whether you have to bat it and, kind of use your arm to smack it down, or, if you get the opportunity to jump the pass and make an interception and bait quarterbacks, basically. I said, and that you're also a solid flag puller. And then the areas of improvement was a little bit different on this one. It wasn't like for the receiving film. I was like, I just don't know. I mean, I want her as a receiver on my team, where I was kind of speechless. I'd say on the defensive side of the ball that from time to time you could be a little physical, and that could potentially lead to flags on the NAIA level. But honestly, like, I'd rather have a defensive back that's more physical and, like, doesn't allow separation than one who does, or tries to compensate with speed or something like that. So you didn't hear it from Coach Stoffer, but that's fine. And then there was, like, a single run play, literally one, where I just thought that the footwork was a little scattered and you, like, kind of crossed your legs a little bit, trying to, like, turn your hips. But, I mean, that was only on one play. Otherwise, you react to the run game pretty well. So I guess on top of this quick hitter defensive film breakdown that I just hit you with, on top of, what I had to say from episode 155, and listeners, if you want to know what I said, go ahead and check that episode out. But, what was your reaction to that first film analysis on the episode and then this film analysis on your defensive highlights kind of in the now?
I'd have to say, listening to that first episode, 155, I would agree that for my receiver side, I'd say it's about, if you want me on offense or defense, I'm going to choose offense. I'll definitely play both. I can do both. But I think since my passion for being a wide receiver is just infinite, that I think the skill set that's there is definitely higher. I'd agree I have long arms, and that definitely helps me go up to snag some more balls and whatnot. On being on the line of scrimmage and running that route, going up for that pass, it's just, over the past couple years, it's just like I can feel this different sort of aggression when I jump up for it. And I think that's what allows me to help stick the catch more, especially when there's other girls around me. Like, we're basically playing a game with 3 flags up, play all the time. So that definitely helps and comes in handy. And for the spot of improvement, I'm glad I was able to send you that defensive film just to let you know that in most of my games, I'm playing both sides of the ball. Getting a break is rare, but definitely worth it because I'll be on that field as long as I can until I collapse. But I would say the aggressive part, I love staying aggressive, but keeping out, just watching the flag, seeing how the refs are playing that game more specifically since it's non-contact football is definitely something I need to be looking out for. Basically, when I'm playing, just need to be able to gauge more of the ref's viewpoint, seeing how the girls on the other team are giving contact, and I'll give at least that much level or whatnot. And footing, I'd have to say footing's been somewhat of a problem. Like, there's certain videos where I'll just randomly fall and everyone's going to be like, what happened? And my mom would say that all the time. And I would say I have pretty big feet as well as long arms. That men's 9.5 does come in handy sometimes. So just watching out for that footing, and just learning to work with that as a part of my speed skill and balance, most especially. That will help me dominate and execute defense 100%.
Absolutely. And I assume you're already aware, but if you haven't yet, invest into one of those salmon ladders, just the agility ones that you lay out on the ground. And then tires, too, because they make you pick your feet up way more than the ladders do. Because the ladders, I mean, the thickness is like a 1/4 inch versus a tire that's like half a foot. So it really makes you focus on picking it up and stuff. But, I definitely agree. And it's good to hear firsthand. Like, yeah, I have long arms. It makes it pretty easy to just moss, some of these smaller cornerbacks and stuff. I'm just like that. So, and that's absolutely true. And yeah, I was stunned just watching the film. Like, wow, this is a complete wide receiver here. And I think that I appreciate the reaction to your film from our perspective, and hearing a little bit of your 2 cents here. But I kind of want to elaborate on kind of who you model your game after, and maybe some qualities that you think you personally. I mean, you already kind of talked about the arms, but what do you think from your perspective makes you different from other prospects in the state or country? Or countries, since you're playing for American and Mexican teams?
I have to say, a person or player I specifically idolize, it's got to be Larry Fitzgerald, that number 11 on the Cardinals. I mean, I've watched him ever since I was born. He's been playing football. And just seeing him out there, got the best hands in the game. I think he's got more tackles than drops listed. And so
that's one of my favorite stats of all time.
I'd have to agree there that just knowing, like, I'd have to in philosophy, I don't think I dropped the ball that much, and just remembering how he always caught it in his form helps me too. And he always somehow sneaks his way around, finds gaps, and that's where I like and admire. I'd say, of course, one of the fastest men in football, Tyreek Hills, especially his route running. The way during press, especially too, how he can just get that stick jab in there and he's gone right off the bat, or how he can slow his body down, force the corner to hesitate for half a second, and then he's gone back. And personally, I'd say in general, especially when I was younger, I was more of a quieter person who would just sort of step back and take stuff in more. And that's what Coach Liz Sauer of the USA team sometimes says. She goes, "Why are you so quiet, Brenna?" I'm like, "I'm just watching, Coach." And so I like to watch it all in. And I think the biggest part that's helped me with my field awareness is I feel like most of the time when I go open for a pass, a lot of the time it's not. I can normally find the gaps pretty well. And I worked well with Abel Wallace, Texas Series 15 quarterback in Tampa. I watched some of that film, and it seemed like I was able to come back to the ball. And I'd say that field awareness has helped me exponentially in my game, for not only having to just have full speed and agility as a receiver, but just finding those gaps makes it easy to catch the ball,
Oh, absolutely. And that's something that, when we do our rubrics, for wide receivers, especially, me being the receiver guy, that's part of it. That's part of the rubric is it's cool if you can catch the ball, if you can run. But if you run into defenders and you make every catch a jump ball, like, you're going to be less and less useful throughout the game if every catch is a jump ball versus just getting open. And, that's a testament to, like you said, the field awareness and the vision. And then on top of it, like, route running and, being able to do stuff like that opens up so many opportunities for you as a receiver. Like, if you can find the open spots in the defense, that's when they trust you to run those option routes, and that's every receiver's dream is, okay, finally I can decide if I'm going to run, the hook in or the post, right? I get to decide that based off the defense, and that level of trust that comes with that from the coach and stuff is, that's the ultimate form of autonomy from receiver, other than just calling your own route to the quarterback. Like, yeah, just throw it up, So being able to do that is a huge, huge skill. And, one of many that you have, obviously. I mean, like I said, if I had to choose, your ability to moss is probably the most fun to watch, obviously. But, I mean, like you said, the field awareness, I noted it in my notes saying that it was excellent, in the episode. I'm not sure exactly how I worded it, but I was very high on, just your ability to find the open person. And especially in flag football, where a lot of it becomes improv kind of football, that's a great skill to have. So, and one that you'll be able to carry on to the next level. But before we
it's
talk
exciting
about,
because one of my favorite things about the field awareness part is being able to work with my quarterbacks, and we see gaps in the defense, and I go, hey, Q, check whatever number, whatever route I want to run on the tree. And I think that's just so important because when you're a player, the coach is there to do everything for you in terms of helping you find what play. It comes to a point where you as a player, you've got to do what you can do on the field, what coach can't do themselves, right? So you sometimes might need to change the length of that route, the way you're going to run it, the speed at which you run it, when you're going to look at the quarterback based on how fast the rusher is, but also maybe even the route itself sometimes. So it's really unique to be able to communicate with my quarterbacks of all teams. Most often I do it with Amaya Moreno on Lady Ghost. So Maya, check 2, and we're gone on a quick route instead of what would have been a go, and I'm all the way gone across the field anyways. It's just exciting to be able to run those types of routes with skilled quarterbacks and teammates as well.
Yeah, and I mean, that just sounds like a awesome setup that you have too, and that level of trust that you have with your quarterback, and that just football IQ that you have in general to bring with you wherever you go. And so I think that that's a great time to kind of bring up, your experiences here, as you've played for a handful of teams when you introduced yourself, obviously. And, I'd like to just kind of give you the floor on, what the experiences have been with all those different teams. I mean, all the way from working with, NFL level coaches in Sours, and multiple national championship winning coaches in Sours and stuff like that, as well as, championship teams in Mexico, tournament winning teams with Texas Fury, et cetera, et cetera. You've had so many opportunities to win with all of these teams, and, just so much time to play flag football. And so just kind of getting an experience from someone who's played on so many different teams, what is kind of the difference between these teams? What are some things that you liked about kind of each team, and what was your, I guess, kind of story journeying through all these different flag football teams?
I mean, first off, I'd have to say what I've been able to do, especially this past year, it's been easily the opportunity of a lifetime. Not too many people get to do this or even say they've helped lead the way, for females in flag football, especially in the current years as it's growing rapidly. I'd have to say what brings all the teams together are the teammates all of them who are just positive in every way and always work for a team effort, for the team to succeed, not just for self-sufficiency, Everyone's willing to work together, always communicating, not afraid to just say what needs to be done. And I have to say the most unique thing about starting off Ghost, my team Lady Ghost here in Phoenix, is I actually played with them in a tournament a couple years but with COVID happening and whatnot, I was able to join back with them just recently, a year ago. And it's been such an experience because a majority of the girls, I'm the only senior right now, and most of the girls are sophomore or younger, so it's just exciting to see them grow as a team as well and able to just play football for what should be quite a long time. Valley Fever has been quite an experience. The coach, Dustin, I love Dustin. He's a cool guy. But that was my first time playing with grown adults on a women's team before. That's been quite unique because their level of, I would say, overall maturity is there, but also general field awareness is quite memorable. They're always working, always know at least what plays to adjust to, always positive teammates, and I just really love that about the women's team. It's just been unique playing with older players before, since most of the time it's just been a different experience playing with girls of my age. So it was fun to play with them. With the USA team, that's been quite an experience. I remember going to tryouts in Indianapolis. I knew from Arizona that was trying out, and I really didn't know anybody else. I was talking with a couple people here and there, just mainly focused on whatnot, just trying to stick myself out there. But being able to be with the girls on this team, this one's special. With our fun personalities and strong skills, we've been able to dominate on the field. And finally, two more teams. So Centinelas, I got to play with them. I had the opportunity to play with them in Mexico at least one time, and they're a fun group because I'd have to say Mexico football is a little bit different from here. I'd say it's definitely the same level of competition, just a more of a different atmosphere, environment, and just people in general, So it gives it a different feel of the game, like that championship I was playing with. And it was just fun to be able to be with those girls, and I'm half Mexican, so it was fun just to be able to be a part of the Mexican culture down there and be with those girls. And finally, I got to play with Texas Fury in January for the Youth Worlds, and those girls, it was fun to play with them. I especially liked playing with Ashley Clam, playing safety with her, because just back and forth, we were communicating, high, low, I got this, you got that, I got the ball, you cover low, get that ISO on that corner or on that wide receiver out there. It was really fun to get to play with them. And I just think the most unique part about all of this is how integrated teams are and tying together. We all somehow come together and also play in Team USA. And also with Valley Fever, I've had a couple girls on that team who play on this team in Mexico, but also play with USA. So it's cool how I've gotten to consistently play with some of these girls, and we've really gotten to know each other well, grow. And on the coaches side, I mean, all my coaches have been just great and so insanely supportive. I mean, I always like to throw my 2 cents in there and let them know what I think about what's on the field, and they've never once gotten agitated or whatnot. They're always open to improving the game as a whole, and I'm just so thankful for all the coaches I've had over the years. I had my signing day in February, and there's a picture I have of all my coaches. I mean, just the ones at least from Arizona, and I looked at that picture and I said, that's a lot of people who, and these men who have especially leading the way in female flag football by being in the scenes as my coach, as directors of the leagues, and also the females that we lead the way, like Coach Liz and Katie Sowers.
Yeah, no, that's quite an exciting, experience that you've gotten to have. And I mean, not only do you get to come together with these teams and, play on a few different teams, with some of the same players, but I mean, the amount of talent that you've been exposed to, whether it's playing with or against, is historic, really, especially this early in the game, or this early in, the explosion of flag football. Like, I never got to see, that much variety and, diversity and talent throughout my entire football career. And for you to have captured that, and I mean, obviously you've been playing football forever, as you said earlier, but, getting able to experience a lot of that in like a pretty swift roller coaster as well is also, insane. And, I like how all of these different things and contributions and qualities and traits from all these different teams has formed together to just make a monster of a player, both, physically, but also especially mentally, is what I love to hear you talk about in the facts like, I was able to learn this from this team, and, the maturity playing with the adults, and, and then the experience and the pride playing with one team, just getting all of these different angles and experiences. I mean, it's no wonder why you're such a spectacular player, because, I mean, diversity promotes growth and, versatility. So getting all these different perspectives does increase, the ceiling that you have to play to. And, that's not just, a football thing. That's an everything thing. There have been studies where it's like, yeah, when we diversify different, perspectives and stuff, whatever the product is going to be better or more improved. And in your case, it's flag football, which is, great for us here at Playmakers Corner, and even more wonderful for the sport of football and for the growing sport of women and girls flag football as well. So, talking about a little bit, sneaking into the future here a little bit, obviously, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't looked on socials, but Brenna, you are a Kaiser University commit. And so, we've talked a little bit about, you got the text that NAIA football is a thing, and you're like, yes, we got to get into it. Let's figure it out. And so, with that level of excitement to play football on the next level and, kind of all that going for you, what was the recruitment kind of process like? And, how was talking to schools? Was that kind of did it kind of meet what you were expecting, or what were some things that you maybe learned? Because, I mean, playing football is one thing, and you can learn the film and, the zones, what have you, the routes, and that's one thing. But I feel like recruitment is more on, what's going on with the people. What am I getting from the school as well? And it's a lot of football players we talk to are like, yeah, I mean, I'm a great football player, but the recruitment process was dizzying, So just kind of take us through that process as much as you want to. And, what are, hopefully more and more programs start in women's flag football. I mean, I think there's going to be like 3 or 4 more teams that I at least know of heading into NAI last year. So, hopefully more young women will hear this and kind of think about what their recruitment may look like. But I kind of rambled for a second there, but go ahead and take it away. Back to the Brenna Ramirez story.
No, but you're definitely right in that aspect that playing is one level, but the recruitment is a whole nother side that's just as important. Just takes a different skill set, So it started when I recovered from PT last April, and I began playing with Ghost again. And it was coming up for my senior year. I'm like, hey, I gotta get back into this now. I have the chance, and for colleges to see me. And because I previously had been on some of their contact lists, but the communication just wasn't quite there since I hadn't played and they hadn't seen me play. So I'd say a big starter was beginning an Instagram account for my football. And that really helped when I got some film on there. I was able to send that to whoever I'd like. Direct messages on Instagram to coaches and their football accounts at the colleges. Because it's such a tight-knit community, they are able to see those messages. So that really was a simple but crucial aspect to communicating with these coaches. So I got the Instagram account, got the videos posted, was able to get into contact with coaches. They'd give me a general estimated offer. And if it was able to be substantial for my family and I went out there for a visit. I went on a couple different visits. And I'd say one of the biggest things I looked for was, first off, the coach and what kind of a person they were. If they just really wanted me as a player, but as a person too, what kind of person they saw in me, but who I saw in them as well. Just seeing how they could help me picture out my future. And so I really liked to focus on the coach and the players as well, and the community who I was going to be around, because I was going to be with them for four whole years, and just getting to know the girls. I mean, all the girls I got to meet were just great people. Flag football is a great community that we have, and not going to lie, being a girl from Arizona where it's 100 degrees on the daily, I think it's almost 100 right now outside, but I'd have to say Florida did catch my eye a little more. The Sunshine State with all the beach coastlines, since I love hitting the beach all the time. But Kaiser was special because I got to meet on my visit. I got to communicate first off a lot with Austin Bowe, the former assistant coach. He's a really great guy. I mean, you can tell that he just does whatever he can, like the other coaches, to improve the game of women's football and help girls get noticed and get there, And the current coach, Justin Hilker, head coach, just such a nice guy and knows his stuff, knows football, not only football, but just the logistics of college, helping me get to where I need to get my degree, which I hope I'm going to major in exercise science. But, just looking for that right group of people to help me get to where I need to be, not only in my future, but just living in the moment as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that definitely go into college. And, if you graduate in exercise science, join the crew. That's what Coach V and I both graduated in, is the School of Exercise Science. So,
awesome.
That'd be a good fit, and it's a great fit for athletes too, because, then you get to hang around sports for forever. And that's the move, right? That's the move.
That's the dream.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I appreciate you kind of, shouting out, all those visits that you got to get. And it's kind of refreshing to hear this because, there's a period of time where we were interviewing class of 21 guys or gals, and class of 2020, visits weren't really possible. So it's good to hear, those visits coming back into, like you said, in April of 21, kind of getting that kicked off and stuff. And, into this year, visits being a part of it, because, campus life is something to consider. And like you said, living in the moment being a priority for you and checking out where I'm going to be living is a pretty big deal. And, fortunately for you over at Kaiser, there's a lot of, girls from Florida there. So they could show you the spots as well at the beach and, what's happening when. So that's pretty awesome that you get that whole experience as well. Yeah, that's awesome hearing about recruiting. I'm sure, like you said, that those little tips like starting an Instagram account, which, by the way, listeners, if you haven't already, it's Brenna_Ramirez11 on Instagram. Go ahead and give that a follow. That's where I watched a lot of her film, and I was scrolling on here forever, honestly, because there's just so many great plays, and then you have all the offers too. I'm like, yeah, this is exciting stuff. So Brenna's life is a movie, so go ahead and check it out on the Instagram. Once again, just gonna give you a plug here, Brenna_Ramirez11. That's on Instagram. So, but we're in the off season now here. You have your commitment, and I guess, what are some things that you're looking to improve? Because, I'm reacting from a highlight perspective. You and I kind of discussed footwork a little bit. And, I just want to let the listeners in on kind of some things that you want to be focusing on this off season before, debuting potentially as a freshman in flag football.
I'd say just right now, well, we're going to go into the new school year and get ready for the new season, focusing on training is my biggest focus right now. Just last month in April, I was playing with Team USA in Charlotte, and I tore my left ACL playing corner. But, it's a big bummer. I'm not going to lie. Playing with all these teams have been, it's been a movie, like you said. It really has this past year. But, I'm just grateful. I'm really grateful I have this opportunity to play in college. Not too many girls get this chance. And since that's secured, it's a bummer, but I'm really grateful for that. And so hopefully soon enough, within the next month or so, I'm hoping to get surgery. And after that, it's just getting on right away on that rehab. Doing whatever I can, to just build up the muscles around. And currently, right now, before surgery, pre-rehabilitation is just as important. It's kind of a hidden secret, but just making sure that my muscles are built and strengthened and getting ready for surgery is a big aspect. I think after having recovered from my last ACL injury, that I think I lost sight that consistently working and training was a key part, not just improving my game, but sustaining my current game. I'd have to say football definitely comes on the easier side for me, just because I love it so much. I think that's part of my game. And after seeing my game for the past few months, everything had fallen in place pretty nice. Coming home with a couple rings, but it's hard. It was a little hard, I guess, for my body, my brain. I was ready to go out every weekend, fly out wherever and play a game. That was a dream. But it is hard on the body to play all this tournament. So, while it's a tough learning lesson, it's just an important one to prevent future injuries, and realizing that I just need to keep up current workouts to sustain and not only sustain, but improve also on my game.
Absolutely. And I want to just take a second to highlight and focus and emphasize, you mentioning prehab. We've talked to a couple of athletes who've sustained injuries and whatnot. And, they're on the other side of it, right? They're on the, what was it like recovering kind of talk with us. And, I think that they may have overlooked or forgotten about, prehab is a part of it, and, mentally kind of dialing it in and understanding what you need to do. And, for someone as determined as yourself, that's pretty easy, I'd say. Well, not like literally easy, but you understand what you have to do fundamentally. Exactly. Versus, other people who maybe don't get it, they don't know the process, and, maybe they get way too eager, and then that makes it worse, right? So, having a good head on your shoulders helps out with the recovery and understanding what needs to be done. So
exactly, yeah. I've done this before. I've torn the other one. While it sucks, I know exactly what I have to do, and not to rush or speed up the pace, but just to get on it right away when I can and keep the things up to pace or a little bit faster. It'll be good this time. We'll be ready.
Yeah, control the things you can control, just like anything else.
Exactly.
So. Well, perfect. We're kind of getting towards the end of this interview here, and here at Playmakers Corner, we understand that. You've already shouted out so many different teammates and coaches and your family as well, but we want to really give you the floor to spotlight, some of those coaches and family members or anyone who's been important to your athletic or academic life too, because student athlete, right? You could be the best player on the planet, but it's really hard to give someone a scholarship who has a 1.0 GPA, right? So, you've lived up to the hype on both ends and have carried your weight. So, whoever has helped you with that process, go ahead and take your time and shout them out.
Well, I might have just a couple, but to make it quick, I'd have to say, to start off, it all starts with my mom. Just through all the years, she's helped me sign up just for different leagues, find different opportunities to play football wherever I can. But especially this past year, we call her my personal sports agent, because she's helped me with the logistics of everything. Playing is one thing, but getting there, getting organized, being able to have the money to get there, it's a whole nother ball game, but just as crucial. So just her endless support and ability to help me get there, and especially through the surgery, help that get scheduled as well, is just crucial. My dad, who started this whole thing off by just playing catch with me in the backyard, just constantly running those routes. I remember I'd always just tell him, like, last one, but that last one lasted for probably another 30 minutes to an hour, until it was just pitch black and we couldn't be out there any longer. He just always wanted to be out there with me. He never said no, just wants the best for me. Always tells me, before I go off on trips, whatever happens, just leave it to God. It's in God's hands. Just always working the hardest, controlling what I can control, and they've just always been there for me. I want to thank my first coach for ever playing football. I played National Youth Sports, NYS. When I was 6 years old, my first coach, his name was Coach Albert. Recently, I just got to see him today. He actually works at Gilbert High School where I go to, so I got to see him today, and that was pretty unique. And throughout all the years, Steve Brody was a key coach that I interacted with. From about 4th grade to 10th grade, I played in Gilbert Youth Sports Football, GYFL, and he's been there. He was the director of the league. He was there and helped promote me and get me noticed. And, I was that girl in the league who played football with the boys. I didn't start playing with the girls consistently till my sophomore year in high school, I'd say. Before that, all I did was play with the boys, so it was a unique experience. My coach is currently on Ghost, Coach Damien Dedman and Frank Moreno. They're just endless in their support for me, especially coming back to them after COVID and the other ACL tear, and being there for me now, allowing me to go to Vegas with the girls just this past weekend and watch them win those rings. That was special. On Valley Fever, like I mentioned, Dustin, he's just the best. He's an amazing guy and is just so supportive, always checking in on me. He's just always been there for me ever since I met him, just I could say a couple months ago. We'll come a little more than a couple, but he's just a cool guy. And on the Centinelas team, that was an especially unique experience, since I visited Mexico a couple times, but, going to another country, meeting up with different people. I have a couple teammates from that team that also play on the USA team. One that had previously played on Ghosts with me. Just being able to be with those girls there, it was a special team. And Yanette Felix, she's the coach of Centinelas, along with Her husband Pepe and Leo, they're just great people, so welcoming and kind. When I went on these trips, sometimes it was just easier for me to go by myself, and they always took me in, were willing to help out in whatever way they could. And on the USA team, Coach Jason Clam from Texas Fury, and Liz and Katie Sowers, just always there for me, willing to check in on me, whatever I needed, and all these coaches just helped me improve my overall game, because I'm a player and I do what I can, but whether people see it or not, the coaches are the ones there on the sidelines every game, every practice, being there for you. They've helped me learn. Can't even count how many new things I've learned, But just the consistent help and support I've received over these past 11 years of football, other sports as well. It's just been, I guess you could say a life like no other. This is just quite the unique opportunity. So I'm beyond grateful for it.
And you love to hear all of those experiences. And man, we're not supposed to be biased here, on the Playmakers Corner. But, hearing about your experiences and just getting to meet and really interact with you, if Kaiser wins a couple more games, then, I wouldn't mind it, right? But it has me even more excited, getting to spotlight this class of 2022 that Simon and I have been able to do. And, on behalf of myself and Simon, we are both so grateful for you being on the show and, just having these interactions. And, you've already kind of imparted some wisdom, obviously, in the recruiting aspect. But, as the sport continues to grow and as, we here in the media are going to try and do everything we can to continuously promote it and promote, girls and women's football. What advice do you have for maybe some up and coming, whether it's middle school, high school, or aspiring football players, as this sport continues to grow and, some things that, you maybe wish that younger yourself maybe got to hear?
Yeah, I'd have to say the biggest thing is just don't be afraid to get out there. And whether you're playing with the girls or the boys too. I remember my very first practice ever, I had a family friend drop me off, and I remember I wouldn't get out of the car. Must have been a little shy or embarrassed, being the only girl, starting every season out there. It seems like there's some set reputation, but you can easily change that around by just not being afraid, working your hardest. Hard work is easily what's gotten me to where I am now. Without putting in that effort consistently, it's hard to get places. So just additionally, just find yourself a strong support system too, because you can do things by yourself, but it can get difficult. So finding that strong set of groups of people who will be there for you and want the best for you truly. And I would say just have the grit to get through it when it's tough, because not every game is going to be easy, or every injury is going to be quick to overcome, But just having faith that if you do your part, the rest will show out. And the biggest thing is it's girls in football now. It's our time. It's our time to show it. So just don't be afraid to get out there.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you sharing that, first story, because I'd imagine that's not like a completely solo thing that happens. I imagine that, just being, different in any way, approaching, a crowd that all looks the same can be a little bit imposing. So just taking that leap and going for it. And, having a little bit of a parachute to catch yourself with in that sports system, not a bad setup, right? And thank you all so much for listening to this episode. And thank you, Brenna, so much for joining us on the show. Coach V, Simon, he texted me. He said, make sure to tell Brenna thank you so much for, interacting with us and being on the show. And, for myself, thank you so much for putting on excellent film and putting together great film to watch and, keeping me entertained in that point, but also just being an absolute joy to have on the show. Yeah,
thank you. I'm really grateful for this opportunity, to just be able to get the text and say, hey, do you want to do an interview to talk about flag football? If you told me even a year or two ago that this was going to happen, that I was going to be going to college to play flag football, I mean, I would have told you you're insane. And just to be, a pioneer in female flag football, it's just quite an honor. So thank you for having me on the show.
Of course. And, this is something that we'll look back on and be like, wow, we really had Brenna on the show for an interview, before she was making plays on a national level, for that showcase and for that tournament. So, we here are obviously grateful to have, yourself and all of the, great, girls to women's flag football players. We've interviewed a handful that are also committed to play next year. And, it gets us very excited for this upcoming season as we just get to know, like you said, this community is fantastic here in women's flag football. And, as someone who covers, other like high school football and stuff, this community is really nice to be a part of because the other ones can be pretty toxic sometimes. So we're grateful to be a part of it just as much, if not more, than you are to be a part of it as well. So thank you so much. And, for any listeners who want to continually learn more about flag football, we post episodes every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, or basically anywhere you listen to podcasts. This is the future of football. It's here and it's exploding. So go ahead and jump on the train before, it really takes off going 1,000 gazillion million miles an hour. All right. And, anywhere that we post on social media, we'll have all of our announcements for upcoming episodes. We're on Twitter at Playmaker Corner. We're at Instagram at Playmakers Corner. Facebook, for, our parents. I know that they're on Facebook a little bit more than Instagram. So that's obviously a great place to find us. We're also on TikTok, constantly promoting, our episodes. So go ahead and find us on TikTok. And then, coming up, or in the past, we've done streams for flag football as well as, other forms of football. So go ahead and find us on Twitch at Playmakers Corner and go ahead and give us a subscription there so you get notifications whenever we post new episodes. And if you can't make it to our Twitch streams, because, we have audiences listening all the way from Florida to California now, go ahead and find us on YouTube where we repost all those things. Man, it gets more and more of a mouthful every time we do that outro. But thank you to all the listeners. And once again, Brenna, thank you so much. I cannot express how much this interview has meant and, how much it just lifts my spirits to, get to interview elite flag football players who are also pleasant.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm just thankful for everyone who's been there to support me and for opportunities like this just to help grow the great game that is flag football.